And recording. All right. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, December 14th. Unfortunately, I am home with a sick child and going to present from my home computer. But as you just heard, we have Valerie and Miranda and Rocco in operations. They're online to help answer any questions as they come up. So let's go ahead and get started. It's 10:01 and we have about 100 people. Awesome. Thank you for taking the time to join us. I hope this is helpful. This is a tough one. If you go back and remember how we briefed the heavy snow event that happened right after Thanksgiving weekend, there's a lot of uncertainty in that forecast. There is a lot of uncertainty in this forecast too. This is a tough one. We've been looking at what was likely going to be a very cold Arctic outbreak that's going to impact the region late this weekend through next week. And the models continue to change on us. And so now the bullet point here is nearly equal potential for three scenarios to play out late this weekend through early next week, actually through all of next week. And all those scenarios include the potential for heavy snow and very cold temperatures. So unfortunately, there's a lot that remains uncertain at this point, but our mantra is kind of tell you what we know when we know it. So we wanted to not hold back and keep on waiting and waiting until we saw the whites of its eyes. We wanted to let you know the potential that we see so you can start making plans accordingly. So this matrix that we have right here kind of shows the current forecast. This is kind of the most likely scenario, how it's going to play out. Going to deal with some light snow this morning that's going to be ending during the late morning hours and early afternoon, and then a pretty quiet couple of days. And then things get interesting as we get into Sunday through next week with the potential for snow in different areas, and then the cold Arctic air is going to come down. So this is kind of what the forecast looks like right now, where we're highlighting the potential for impacts. But as you'll see, this could change drastically based on how the forecast pans out. One of the things that we always look at is the Climate Prediction Center's temperature outlook. This is the 6 to 10 day outlook. And maybe you've seen this. There is a high probability of much below average temperatures that is going to impact pretty much all of the country. The focus is down the northern plains, but it also includes the Pacific Northwest. There's a high likelihood of below average temperatures. And just because we're not in the middle of that does not mean it's not going to be significant weather for us. And that's what I wanted to talk about. So the scenarios that I'm referring to is how we've kind of broken it down overnight. The night shift was looking at this and they briefed us this morning, and I thought they did a great job of conveying that there's nearly three equal chances of different scenarios playing out. So we're going to kind of break down what those different scenarios look like. About a 40% chance of the computer, or 40% of the computer models are saying that during this time frame, it's going to be seasonal temperatures with periods of light snow, which is not that significant. So what that means for weather-wise is just a few inches of snow Sunday through Wednesday, high temperatures in the 20s, lows in the teens, somewhere around that. The next scenario, about 35% of the computer models are showing the potential for very heavy snow, and I'll show you what that looks like. So that is heavy snow that would occur in the Monday to Tuesday timeframe, and then much colder temperatures as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. And that means high temperatures in the teens and low temperatures below zero or near zero. And then this last cluster of computer models, about a 25% of the computer models say that we're just going to have the periods of light snow, but then very cold temperatures. And that those temperatures are looking like 20 degrees below what we would expect for this time of year, with highs in the single digits and lows in the -0 to -15. So much below average temperatures and actually quite cold for this region. So those are the three scenarios that we're looking at. And as I mentioned, I put the probability, the 40%, 35%, 25%. Honestly, it's pretty close to 1/3 each. There's almost a or nearly equal chance of each of these scenarios playing out over the next week or so. Another way of looking at this and to kind of highlight that potential of uncertainty is this is a box and whiskers for high temperatures. On the left side of this map, that those narrow boxes, the red boxes especially, means that there is a low range in potential outcomes. And so for that, our confidence is high. The temperatures are going to be in somewhere within those very not narrow box ranges. But if you get to the right side, those boxes become enormous. And the what's called a box and whiskers, those lines that you see, those are also possible outcomes. So as we get into next week, you can see just how drastic difference the different computer models are projecting with a large outcome, large variety of potential temperatures that we could see. And it ranges anywhere from -15 on Thursday up to the 20s, which is a huge range of temperatures. But one of the reasons we wanted to talk about this was that we were seeing yesterday that some of the apps on phones were highlighting low temperatures on Thursday of negative, I forget what it was, -20, -24, something like that. And so that was starting to get around, make buzz on social media that it's going to be -24 next week. And yes, there's a potential for being that cold, but is it a realistic potential? I'm not so sure. So that's why one of the reasons why we wanted to go ahead and talk about this and talk about what the range of possibilities really is. So this next image kind of takes those box and whiskers, that forecast range of temperatures, and puts it into this format. And so this has a wide range of temperatures for all these locations, and now you can kind of understand why it's such a big range of temperatures. So I'll just pick out a few here. The Spokane Metro, the low temperature right now is about 5 degrees. The forecast, that's the best forecast that we have right now, is about 5. But you see the range of that forecast varies from either 12 above to 7 below. And so any of those numbers are possible right now. And with every computer model run, every couple of hours, every 12 hours, we see a new run, those numbers are changing. And so we continue to refine those numbers as we get closer. So just wanted to point out that there is a large variety of temperatures that we're looking at. The coldest air that we are expecting right now is next Thursday. So that's why I pointed out, I grabbed this image, is to show that this is kind of the coldest. It is expected to be pretty cold or below average at Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday timeframe as well. But it looks like Thursday is expected to be the coldest. Another way of looking at that is the probability of reaching certain thresholds. So this is just for 6 places around the inland Northwest. The chance of the temperature, the low temperature Thursday morning, being below a certain threshold. So I'll pick the one right in the middle in the front, or up top is OMAC. There's a 34% chance that the low temperature will be below 0, a 25% chance it'll be below -5, and a 17% chance that it will be below -10. And the trend has been to be slightly warmer. When we looked at these yesterday, it was not quite as warm. It has actually been warming slightly with these last trends, with these last forecast runs. So not quite as cold. I'm sorry. I'm confusing myself with this. I almost didn't include this, and that's why, because even this one confuses me. But we'll send these out so you can take a look at these for the different areas of the probability of exceeding certain temperatures. So this next one, now we're going to transition into talking about the snow forecast. There's obviously a large range of when the snow could come and how much snow we could get. Right now, this is the most likely snowfall amounts for the Sunday through Tuesday timeframe. And that's a large, 2-3 day period. That's a lot of time, and that's not much snow if you think about it. So there's potential for this much snow, or this is the most likely snowfall that we'll see during that time frame. The next one, there's a 25% chance we'll see at least this much. So now we're getting into, feet of snow in the Cascades, about a foot of snow in North Idaho, and 6 to 8 inches or so around the Spokane metro area. So this is about a 25% chance we'll see at least this much snow. And now here's the worst case scenario. This is the 10% chance we can see at least this much snow. So now we're talking at least a foot of snow in the Spokane metro, foot and a half up North Idaho, and my goodness, 2 to 3 feet at the Cascade Crest. So again, that's why we're trying to convey that there's a wide range of possibilities, and we didn't want to ignore that there is the chance to see more heavy snow throughout the region over the next couple of days and week. So to summarize, this is a tough one to convey, so I apologize if I'm stumbling through this, but there's definitely 3 potential scenarios to play out. One of them has seasonal temperatures and light snow. Another one has heavy snow followed by cold temperatures. And the third scenario is moderate snow followed by very cold temperatures. We talked briefly about what our briefing schedule is going to look like over the next couple of days, because obviously we're going to want to keep you updated. So we are going to plan on sending out an email briefing tomorrow. And then on Friday, we will do another live special weather briefing to give an update on what we expect to happen over the weekend and early next week. Hopefully we'll have some higher confidence in one of these scenarios playing out. And then additional briefings as needed over the weekend. And if the scenario plays out that we are expecting very heavy snow, then certainly we'll provide an extra briefing. If it's the seasonal temperatures and light snow, then you probably won't see another live briefing, but we'll certainly send out the email briefings at that point. I will be sending out, save this as a PDF and send this out to everyone as soon as this is done. And I'm also going to, this is recorded, so I'll put this on the web for you to see and share as well. And so now let's take a look at the questions. All right. Great question from Mike about what's causing the wide range of possibilities. Maybe operations can help me. I'm going to take a stab at this question. What I understand is that this is a very dynamic system. It's very, very warm, unseasonably warm up in Alaska in the North Pacific, and that's resulting in a very dynamic pattern in the lower 48. And so that is going to transition over the next week or so. And so it's that transition from cold to potentially very cold, a lot of moisture coming in. It's a matter of where this is going to set up. I think somewhere in the western US, northwest US is going to see significant impacts from this. Whether or not it affects Spokane Metro or North Idaho, or if it's down in Oregon, remains to be the question. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty because this is such a dynamic system, and there's going to be a big change coming next week. So exactly where that lines up is going to be the challenge. If operations has anything to try to clarify or add to that, that'd be great. Yes, we can share all these slides with the media. If you're on our partner list, you will see all these as well.
I think you explained it well, Andy. And as we were discussing, yesterday or the day before, and patterns like this typically stay east of like the continental divide. And so forecasting a event to like this occur on the west side of the continental divide is it can be tricky because we don't see it all the time. We don't see it every year. So
Right.
There's just a lot of solutions panning out possible.
And actually, thank you, Valerie. I can unmute folks. So let me. Now you have the ability to unmute yourself. So if you'd like to ask a question, unmute yourself and go ahead. And one of the kind of outstanding questions is this briefing schedule that I gave here, does that make sense? Does that work with folks? Would you like more, less, or does that work for you? So if you have a strong opinion about that, let us know.
Andy, any high wind blowing snow concerns?
No, that's a good question, Valerie. If you could take a look through, I have not seen any potential for wind with this event. Is that accurate, Valerie?
There is the potential to see an uptick in winds, like just breeziness, maybe into the 20 to 30 mile per hour range that some of the ensembles are indicating. But again, it also is dependent on which scenario does play out. But with just something, with a drop in temperatures like that, there could be wind with it.
That's a good point. If we see those temperatures really dropping, that cold, really cold Arctic air coming down, it will probably come down with a surge. There'll be some wind chills and very cold air coming down through the normal north passages. So that's right. We could see that potential for some breezy north winds if we get those extreme cold temperatures. Watches, warnings, advisories. That is a tough call at this point. We do not have any watches, warnings, advisories in effect. Typically, we will start issuing a watch for heavy snow or winter storm 48 to 72 hours out in advance. So if we see that potential over the next day or two, you will see that hopefully 48 to 72 hours in advance of when we expect those conditions. Avalanche possibilities, I cannot comment on that. I think the best idea is to get with the avalanche centers and check with them with this forecast. We relay their warnings to help them out, but they have their forecasters that will put together their avalanche forecast. So it'd probably be best just to check with the avalanche folks. What's the preferred solution for the Weather Service? Ryan Overton, thank you for that question. Preferred solution, I do not know how to answer that. I think the forecast that we have going right now, that first slide that I had with the matrix, with the light snow, we got to go with the probabilities, the most likely scenario. It's tough to say one over the other at this point. So we will start. We're not trying to hedge our bets, but we're kind of keeping it in the middle and trying to let everybody know that there's certainly different possibilities that could play out. So I don't think that we have a preferred solution. It's my diplomatic way of answering that question. Is it unusual to have this much uncertainty in the forecast? Again, that's a tough one. Not necessarily. I think anytime that we have these big dramatic changes and extreme temperatures, I think there is going to be some uncertainty. Sometimes the uncertainty is a range of 10 to 20 degrees. This time there might be a range of 30 to 40 degrees. I mean, it's a big difference between 20 above and 15, 10 below zero. So there's a big range in possibilities. So just because it's the dead of winter and how extreme the potential is, I think that makes it for a more dramatic um, scenarios playing out. I probably just contradicted myself in that answer. Record-breaking temperatures, we do not have any of that forecast. Obviously, if the extreme pans out, we might be flirting with some records, but we do not have record forecast at this point. They're good questions. Other questions? So I'll stick on for a few more minutes. In case I miss something, I'll read through all this. I will save this and email these slides within 20 or 30 minutes or so, and try to upload this briefing to YouTube so it'll be available there. And I think we'll call it good for now. But if you have any other questions, I'll stand by for just a few more minutes. Thank you everybody for taking the time, and I hope this was helpful.